The American Wild West, known for its vast frontiers, fortune, and freedom. However, under the surface, a darker saga unfolded, the era of outlaw gangs. The lifestyle of an outlaw was rough, long days of heists and epic shootouts, followed up by late nights of heavy drinking at the local saloon. In this video, we will dive deeper into one of the most notorious gangs of the Wild West era. Robert Leroy Parker was an infamous outlaw during the late 1800s and robbed countless banks. When he later was caught, he served a prison sentence of 18 months, but not to embarrass his mother. He changed his name to Butch Cassidy, which he is more commonly known as. In prison, he had plans of assembling a gang, and so he did in 1896 when he was released from prison. Because of his prior experience as an outlaw, he had a vast network of highly dangerous and skilled criminals. The Wild Bunch was now born, an outlaw gang that would shake the whole society and be remembered in the history books as one of the most ruthless gangs of all time. Butch Cassidy needed a man with an eye for strategy, and no one was better than Harry Alonzo Longabaugh, better known as the Sundance Kid. With his wit and strategic planning and Cassidy's charm and leadership abilities, the gang was starting to take shape. The two started thinking of their next move and began recruiting members. One of these was Butch's longtime friend and ally William Ellsworth Lay, nicknamed Elsie. The gang needed him for he was known to be a good train and bank robber. The Wild Bunch agreed that they also needed a skilled gunman and a fearless member. They therefore stumbled upon Harvey Alexander Logan, who received the nickname Kid Curry. He was quickly called the wildest of the Wild Bunch, and I think that speaks for itself. It is said that Kid Curry had killed over 10 lawmen during his career. Besides these members, the gang was estimated to have reached 19 members during their peak. The Wild Bunch quickly realized that with their individual characteristics and experiences, they could be successful in robberies. They therefore began planning smaller robberies against trains, which became a great success. One of the first hits the gang did was in 1896, when Cassidy and two other men robbed a bank in Montpelier, Idaho. They stole cash, gold, and silver, which netted the gang around $16,000. The following year, the gang continued and stuck up two employees at a coal company and stole their payroll, which gave them around $10,000. Today, those robberies would be worth around $800,000. With more experience under their belt, they got better, and in 1899, the gang hit the jackpot big time. Members of the Wild Bunch held up a Union Pacific train in Wyoming. They ruthlessly dynamited two safes and stole all the loot, netting them a whopping $55,000, which today would be worth an astounding $3 million. Talk about a nice payday. With the turn of the century, the gang was prospering, but Cassidy and Sundance Kid wanted to leave the criminal world and move to South America. But before that, they pulled off one last heist. In 1901, they robbed a train in Montana, which resulted in a take of $40,000, close to $1.25 million today. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid moved to Argentina in 1902, buying a cattle ranch, and it seemed that they had left the outlaw life for good and eluded North American authorities. However, the urge to get more money and rob banks was still there, and within a couple of years they started a series of bank, stagecoach, and train robberies. They were successful in South America for a while, but it all came crashing down in November 1908, when it is said that Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were cornered by Bolivian troops in San Vicente. And in a final charge of glory, they started shooting the troops, killing most of them, but were sadly shot down. This was the end of the legendary Wild Bunch. They seemed to have had it all for a while, but lost it all in a legendary shootout. However, not all historians agree that Butch Cassidy died in a shootout, but rather that he shot Sundance Kid and then turned the gun on himself, based on how the bodies were located when they were found. But even more shocking is that witnesses have claimed to have seen Cassidy years or even decades after his supposed death. One of those people was his own sister, who maintained till her death in 1980 that Cassidy visited her in 1925 and then died under an assumed name in 1937. The Wild Bunch will be remembered as one of the most successful and ruthless gangs of the American frontier, and have inspired countless media based on the gang. For example, the Dutch Van der Linde gang in the game Red Dead Redemption 2 is loosely based on members of the Wild Bunch, and a Swedish indie band called Kent have even made a song named Sundance Kid. So it is safe to say that Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch toil and resilience sure has made a mark in history.